Hi everyone, welcome to the Ruth and Elmer Museum of Art, Wellin Museum of Art. My name's Dr. Liz Shannon and I'm the collections curator here at the Wellin. Really excited to welcome you all to a snippy preview of Menagerie, Animals in Art from the Wellin Museum. And I'm going to just take you through and look at a couple of objects. Before we begin, I just wanted to let you know that the show opens tomorrow, Saturday, and we'll be having a little opening reception in the afternoon. We'd love you to join us. And the show will be open for the full academic year, so you can come in and view some of these fantastic animal objects through until June of next year. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at, first object, is this incredible bear, life-sized bear. This is Bearogram number 10 by Zana Brisky, and this work was made by the artist going into a forest in the Catskills on a moonless night, setting up an 8-foot long piece of photographic paper in the woods amongst the trees, and then sitting back and waiting to see animals come by. So this is part of her Animalograms series. And it features an array of different animals, but obviously here we have this fantastic bear. So on the evening when Brisky made this work, this particular bear came by, and Brisky let off a flash of light that exposed the silhouette of the bear onto this photographic paper. So the flash would have been bright enough to expose the photographic paper, but not to upset the wildlife. So once the bear had ambled off, Brisky goes and takes down the paper, rolls it up, secures it in a light-safe way, and then takes it to the darkroom and develops it. And at that point, she would be able to see what has been captured on the photographic paper. So this is a unique work. This is not made from a negative. And if you come up close, you can see some of the incredible details of this bear, such as its little furry paws. And also you can see some of the foliage from the forest that was obviously just there in situ as the bear was coming through. You can also see some areas here. These are not faults. These are simply kind of remainders of areas where maybe some leaves or some dirt or something came up from the forest floor. And this is all kind of part and parcel of this being a unique photographic print. So we love the bear, but let me encourage you to come with me. And as we're going by, hopefully you will see that we have a host of objects that involve animals in the Wellin's collection. Many cultures, time periods represented, some very ancient objects that feature animals, as well as creatures who have been depicted very, very recently. And we are approaching, I think, around 300 objects in the show. And also, I wanted to let you know, we've reinstalled our collection spaces elsewhere in the museum, and we realized we have an awful lot of animals in those objects too. So if you visit the museum and you are in our other collection spaces, you will see some of our labels have a little paw print icon on them, and that is to encourage you to look for the animal content there as well. So next, we have this, another very large animal, maybe larger than life size. This is Koinobori, Eggs in the Belly, by Japanese-Canadian artist Alexa Hatanaka. You may be wondering how tall I am in relation to this enormous fish. Well, I'm not 6 foot. This is an 11-foot koi or carp. And Koinobori means carp streamer. It is, you may be familiar with a carp streamer from Japanese culture. It's kind of like a giant windsock or kite, and traditionally smaller versions of these, more often than not, are flown to celebrate Children's Day. So Hatanaka has created this gorgeous, colorful, streamer-covered carp made of washi paper, which is a traditional type of Japanese paper, where the making of it means that the environment has to be in good condition, and the environment, the natural world, and keeping it in good shape is something that the artist is very interested in. This work also refers back to the artist's heritage. Her grandfather and great-grandfather were both fishers in Japan. And also there are a number of sections of this object that you can see. It's made up of different patches, different materials here, that refer to her family and also kind of the tradition of fishing in Canada and Japan. So in terms of food production, here we have part of a rice bag that her father saved for her and that she's incorporated into the work. And then I especially wanted to highlight this area right here. So we're very lucky. Alexa is going to be visiting with us this month. And as part of her visit, she's going to be working with students, and we're going to be making fish prints based on this process here. So in order to make these fish prints, you go fishing, you catch the fish, and then you ink the fish and press the paper on top of it. So this is a traditional method by which fisher people in Japan would be able to preserve the size and scale and the type of fish that they'd caught. And the artist made these specifically to incorporate them into this beautiful larger fish. So I wanted to show you some objects that are in some of our drawers. So as we walk around, you're going to see loads of objects, but we have even more inside these drawers. So just here, we have another beautiful leaping carp by a Japanese artist from the kind of end of the 19th century through to the middle of the 20th century, Ohara Koson. It's a color woodblock print, and as you can see, this carp is leaping for joy. So the kind of the folklore tale surrounding carp in Japan relates to one particular carp who is trying to swim up a waterfall, and very difficult, really persevering. It takes 1,000 years to get to the top. And upon getting to the top, he is rewarded by becoming a beautiful golden dragon. And I wanted to just show you, we have a number of gorgeous golden dragons here on this Chinese imperial robe from the 19th century. So this is the type of guy that the Japanese carp are hoping they will become eventually. And Hatanaka's incredible piece and this particular print also refers to this heritage. Before I close this drawer, let me bring you back, and I wanted to show you the work that's alongside the carp. So this piece just here is by Callista M. Sherman, who's actually a local young woman from around the middle of the 19th century. And we discovered this work in the collection. It's been with us since 1959, but it was made in the middle of the 19th century. And this is a type of artwork called Scherenschnitte, which is a German word, and essentially it means cut paper. So usually, if you were making a Scherenschnitte artwork, you would be using the same type of technique that we might use today to create paper snowflakes in the winter, where you fold up the paper and then you cut sections out of it, and when you unfold it, you'll have something beautiful, snowflake-like, and there'll be symmetry. Obviously, here with this work, you can see how the white paper, it's on a dark background, you can see how the work has been cut out, but there isn't the symmetry that maybe we would have if we were making a snowflake artwork. So instead, we can see maybe some squirrels there and there, lots of little birds in the trees and on the ground, and flowers as well. So we were fascinated by this work because we thought it was incredibly beautiful, and also we could see that the artist had signed it on the front with Verona written underneath it. So we discovered that this young woman, she was very local, she lived in Verona, very close to us here in Clinton. And it wasn't in amazing shape, so we used this show as an excuse to send this work off to be conserved. And while it was away being conserved, having anything acidic removed from it, the conservator turned the work over, and we discovered that there is another young woman's name written on the back of this work, Phoebe Tompkins. So my very good colleague Laura did some excellent research, and we think that this is a young woman who lived about 20 miles away from Callista, and we suspect that they were friends. So Phoebe very unfortunately died in her mid-teens, and it appears that this work was made in memory of her. So the other thing that Laura found out about this particular work was that it was mentioned in an article from the mid-19th century from the newspaper, the Rome Sentinel, and it won a prize. So it was entered into the Oneida County Fair, and Callista won a dip pen, so like a calligraphy pen, for this beautiful artwork. And now it lives with us here at the museum, and you can come and look at it for a full year. It is in the drawer next to the carp. Okay, so we're going to just walk around the corner and going to show you a whole bunch of artworks on the wall, some drawings. But as we go by, you can see some of the other objects that we have on display. Lots and lots of things to look at. Particular friendly favorite of mine here. He is a deer, not a dog, but he doesn't mind if you think he's a dog. So I just wanted to focus this a moment on this particular body of work. It is not one that, to my knowledge, we've ever shown before. And we are really lucky, and it's kind of incredible that this body of work is with us here in central New York. So these are drawings made by a French artist called Henri Gaudier-Brigezka. He moved to Britain around the beginning of the 20th century because he was passionate about becoming an incredible artist. And he really was only active for around 4 or so years, but the works that he made during this time are really important, particularly to the development of British modernism. So he joins a group called the Vorticists, and that's kind of primarily where he really kind of starts to flower. So these particular works were made by Gaudier-Brigezka at London Zoo. He was given a zoo pass to London Zoo in Regent's Park by a friend, and he went along, and you can see what he did while he was there. He started to make some incredible lightning sketches. Maybe we'll have a look at this one. So you can see how kind of gestural they are. You can see how quickly he appears to have made these lines. Potentially here we have a lioness who's moving and a seated lion. And you can see also how there's only a few lines there indicating what type of animal it is. So we have a whole grid of these drawings here. And some, I think, are more recognizable as particular animals than others. Some are maybe more successful than others, but they're all kind of charming in their own way. I am a particular fan of this lion who, so I was discussing with my colleague earlier, really is kind of a mood. So we'll have him up all year. The other thing I just wanted to flag to you is, again, in terms of other works we have in our collection spaces, we're really lucky that we have a couple of marble sculptures by Gaudier-Brigezka on display in our archive hall space. And one of the reasons why Gaudier-Brigezka is significant is that he is an early modernist sculptor who is working as a direct carver. So not making models of his sculptures before he executes them. He's going straight in and just creating that work. And in some ways, these drawings really kind of foreshadow that, because he's going to the zoo, he's got his notebook out, he's just sketching away quickly and then on to the next thing, which isn't a million miles off the direct carving that he's going to be doing. Okay, let's just move over here and we'll finish off this area. So this is the section of the show that my colleagues and I have been informally referring to as Animals and Their People. So here we have what, again, we've informally been referring to as our two queens. We have Serena Williams on her way, hopefully, to a very glamorous event with her pup. And then we have Queen Victoria with her little shaggy dog there as well. We also, you may notice here, have some 19th century stereoscopes for you to look through and use. These are real examples of stereoscopes from the 19th century with stereo cards. And you look through, you adjust the viewpoint here, and you will end up with one single three-dimensional image. So this is really top flight technology for the 19th century, very, very popular. And you'll see the cards, it's adorable images of animals and young children. So who doesn't like a cute dog and a cute kid?
We do have a question from the audience.
Oh.
Can you walk us through how you selected the works included in the show, and when did you begin this process?
Okay, so it was a painful, frankly, process to hone down the works that ended up in the show. We started looking through the collection probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and just noting every time we came across a work with an animal in it. That quickly got kind of out of control, and my long list of objects for the show was over 1,000 objects, which was a bit face-melting. So I started just kind of cutting anything that I thought wasn't really a top-flight object, or wasn't enabling us to tell a story, or wouldn't maybe, we're a teaching museum at a college, so I wanted to make sure we had a really good range of objects so that different disciplines would be able to interact with, and also that the general public would be able to enjoy. So those were some of my criteria, and I also started thinking about the types of themes that were coming through with the different objects. I cannot lie and say that we didn't cut some objects, that it still makes my heart hurt a tiny bit when I think of the photograph of the young people in Washington Square Park with their dogs that we cut at the very last minute, but that's, how it works. So, just trying to also include a wide range of artists from different cultures, different genders, just making sure that we have as many different voices, a kind of a plurality of voices and impressions of animals. The other thing I should just mention that seems obvious, but you could maybe kind of forget this. The only object in the show that we consider a collaboration between an animal and an artist is the Zana Brisky bearogram. Every other object in this show has been created by a human. So it depicts an animal, but it's filtering through a human's consciousness. So there are very few humans depicted in the show, but humans are everywhere in this exhibition.
One more question.
Okay. I would be a cat, because I have cats and they are so spoiled, they are so rude, they are so cuddly, they are so furry, they throw up in weird places, they have a great life. So I think I would be a cat. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for joining us at the Wellin Museum of Art for a quick lightning tour of Menagerie, Animals in Art from the Wellin Museum. I just want to let you know that you can get updates on the show and see other things that are happening at the museum through our social media channels. I encourage you to sign up for our email outs. And I also want to let you know that behind this wall, we have an amazing space called Wellin Works, where you can make work, you can dress up, you can think about the show and the themes, you can read books, you can make drawings. All the creative activities can happen in Wellin Works. So I really hope you can join us. The show is on until next June. And have a great weekend.